In this demo, I'm going to show you how Radius can be used to deploy the same application to two separate but very different environments without modifying the application. First, I'll deploy my application to an on-premises Kubernetes cluster, including the front-end container and a Redis cache. Next, I'll deploy the same application, including Redis, to AWS using Kubernetes and AWS MemoryDB. I've already set up a Radius control plane on premises and in AWS. You can see that we have two Radius workspaces, one for each of these environments. Radius knows how to deploy resources based on recipes. A recipe is either a Terraform configuration or a bicep template. If I look at the recipes on premises, you can see that I have a bicep template here that happens to be deploying Redis onto my Kubernetes cluster. If I look at the recipes on AWS, we're using a Terraform recipe. This one uses MemoryDB. We're going to come back to all this, but just for a moment, I want to put my developer hat on and let's look at the application definition. It's just a list of resources and how those are related. Here we have a front-end container and a Redis cache called cache. If I expand the properties, we have things that you would expect like a container image and a container port. But we also have this connection block. The connection is super powerful because Radius is doing a lot of work behind the scenes for us. Not only does Radius use these connections to build the application graph, but Radius is also automatically injecting details like the connection string and the credentials into the container as environment variables. Let's go back to our terminal and deploy this application. To do that, I'm going to say rad run to-do list, and we're going to deploy it on premises. What's happening behind the scenes is the bicep template is being called, which creates Redis cluster on top of my Kubernetes cluster. And then the front-end container is being deployed. We don't need a recipe for deploying the container because Radius knows how to do that natively. It's creating a service account, it's creating a service, a deployment, and it's exposing that service on top of the Kubernetes cluster. Because we did rad run, Radius has gone ahead and set up port forwarding from localhost 3000 to our container port. That means we can go browse to this application. Let's go do that. So we'll go to localhost 3000, and we have our demo application here. All the environment variables that were automatically injected are here. You can see that our Redis cluster is running on cluster.local. That's our local Kubernetes cluster. And we have a to-do list application. It's pretty straightforward. We can say integrate Radius developer platform. Okay, we can say add, and then we can complete, mark it as delete, whatever. Radius also has a developer dashboard. This is built on Backstage, and we're able to browse all of the environments, the applications, resources, and recipes. If I drill into the to-do list application, we can go to the application graph, and you see it's really basic, front end and a cache. But you can easily imagine a more complex application showing the dependency tree for a slew of microservices. Now, I want to go back to the terminal and look at what the application graph looks like if I deploy this application on both AWS and on premises. So I'm going to stop my port forwarding, and let's do two terminals side by side. On the right will be our on-premises, and on the left will be AWS. So we'll say rad deploy on-premises, and over here, rad deploy on AWS. The only difference between rad deploy and rad run is the deploy doesn't set up the port forwarding. Okay, now that those are done, we can say rad app graph on AWS and rad app graph on premises. And of course, the front end container is the same across both of these environments because we've deployed them both to Kubernetes. But if you notice that the Redis cache is quite different, here we're creating a subnet, a VPC, a MemoryDB, and a subnet group, whereas on The on-premises, we're creating a deployment and a service because we've deployed those onto Kubernetes. Hopefully this demo shows you how easy it is to abstract applications from the underlying infrastructure environment without modifying the application. Using recipes, platform engineers can choose how best to deploy resources. It could be on top of Kubernetes like we saw on premises, or it could be using cloud managed services like AWS MemoryDB. Thanks for watching.